Hi, welcome to the Virginia Herb Coaching channel. This is not a typical video because I am not Virginia. My name is Sarah. I am a graduate of Virginia's 12-week coaching program, and I am here today to talk about your relationship being in survival mode and to give you a little insight into how I worked with Virginia to heal my own relationship with myself and with my husband and get out of survival mode after being in survival mode for a long time. So without further ado, let's get started. First off, how do you even know if your marriage or your relationship is in survival mode? It's very likely that you may always be functioning in some sort of survival mode, because survival mode is kind of defined in a couple of different ways. We have the more medical definition of survival mode, which is actually really related to the nervous system of your body. When you're ready to chase a tiger and you're in fight or flight mode and cortisol is running through your body and your digestion slows and your brain and body are not thinking about the essential functions, only the things needed to survive and get out of the situation or get away from the tiger. That is typically what doctors, nervous system, chiropractors, etc. will consider survival mode. They might also consider it a time when you're dealing with a mental health crisis or a physical health crisis where your body is literally just in that state where you're just thinking about, how do I survive? How do I get through a day? Relationship-wise, survival mode can show up in a lot of different ways, from really, I guess severe would be the word for it, to a more mild survival mode instance. Some of the things that you might experience during survival mode can include things going on within yourself and your partner individually, whether that's physical symptoms, anxiety, other just struggles with your mental health that make life kind of feel debilitating in ways. If you're in a state of constant stress, maybe you're not in crisis, but you're in constant stress, that could be a sign of survival mode as well. What I think it shows up in is areas, so I'm looking at my notes, areas of your relationship more so than even the health symptoms, which I was experiencing, was dealing with. You might feel like you're in your roommate era with your partner. You might feel like, well, we're not really feeling like lovers right now. It's more like roommates. You might feel like two ships passing in the night. Like you're not really communicating or connecting or bonding on the level that you may have initially when you first fell in love with the person. You may experience difficulties in your intimate life because the constant stress of whatever's going on in your life is causing a decline in intimacy. And that doesn't even have to be anything intimate, so to speak. Like it can be, you're not even really cuddling at night, or you're not doing a lot of physical touch, like holding hands or rubbing on their back. You're not like doing those things regularly. It's not really a habit for you at this time. You might find yourself wanting some kind of Band-Aid relief, which is totally fine. It's good to go on a vacation or get a massage or take a day off. But if you feel like every single day you want that, and maybe you're even able to go take an afternoon off from the kids and get your nails done or something, and it just like still barely makes a dent, you might be dealing with more than something that a simple afternoon of relaxation can fix. All the other stress might compound. So if you're dealing with a job and maybe other responsibilities like errands or furnishing a home, and maybe you even have kids and you also have to take care of the kids, your stress may compound in a way that everything feels overwhelming even when it didn't before. So for me, things like meal prep completely fell to the wayside because my husband and I had moved 6 times within a year. We were nomadic, basically like the digital nomad life. And the dark part of it that no one tells you is that it's incredibly lonely because you're in places that you've never been before. And it can be incredibly stressful if you're constantly moving your rig or moving yourselves around. And that, between that and housing instability, unemployment, we were just in survival mode for almost a year. And it also brought a lot of my childhood wounds back from being in survival mode, living in a military family where we were constantly moved around. I dealt with health issues as a kid, so having that kind of instability triggered some of those physical symptoms again. So it all kind of compounded to create a situation where I was just checked out. I was mentally disconnected, and even simple tasks like cooking and cleaning that I would normally enjoy because I'm the kind of person that takes pride in cooking a great meal and keeping my house clean for my family. I couldn't do it. I couldn't handle it like I normally would. And the pressure of that and trying to keep up with the relationship became way too much. Not to mention, I started a business at the same time, and the stress also compounded with that, dealing with the financial instability of unemployment, starting a business. A lot of those things can put you into survival mode. Moving, new baby, changes in medical situations with yourself, your partner, your family. If you look at there's a document that says like what the most stressful life events are. If you've experienced more than one of those in a year, you may very well be functioning in a survival mode, because just one event like a move or a death in the family can completely uproot you and make you feel really alone and really unsupported, regardless of what kind of help or support you might even have in your life. So I was having a really rough go of it. And when I met Virginia, I knew she was doing coaching, and I'm the kind of person that is healing from martyr wounds. So I originally was like, no way, I'm never going to admit that I have a problem. I do not need help. I can take care of it all by myself because I'm very capable and I can do it, and I don't want to bother anybody and I don't want to burden anybody. And it eventually got to a point where she came right out and asked if I wanted coaching because I was struggling, and she could see it in my face. She could see I looked tired. She could tell that I was stressed out, and she's like, okay, do you want coaching? And I just was at that point just like, yeah, why not? I have nothing to lose. I don't have any other tools in my arsenal to try, so I'm going to try this. Funny enough, one of the first things that she and I actually worked on was meal prepping. Because our system for meals was getting really exhaustive, and I was cooking meals every day, which was a habit from living in a very, very small space with a very, very limited kitchen, where I didn't really have the ability to prep batches of meals. So we started working on a meal prep system, so that my husband and I would together cook 2 meals a week, one easy meal and one, more difficult meal that required more than one pan or a bunch of ingredients. And then we would make enough of that to last us for the whole work week, so that we were able to not worry about cooking lunches or dinners during the week, which really immediately had results. I brought that to my husband, and he was like, oh my God, yes, let's do that. On another note, I think one of the biggest impacts that coaching immediately had was she asked me how often I let my partner know that I appreciated him. And thinking that your partner knows this is not quite the right way to go about it. You might think that your partner knows that you appreciate them, but have you communicated that to them lately? Have you communicated a thank you for all the things that they're doing in this survival mode time to get you through it? Whether they're providing income, childcare, help around the house, or maybe they're even providing things like a massage or sending you out with your girlfriends for lunch. Whatever your partner is doing in that moment, expressing appreciation gets you a long, long way towards healing, because you're coming at the person with a positive mindset and with appreciation rather than lack, rather than thinking about what we don't have in this moment, what we're wanting but can't have in this moment. We're talking instead about what we appreciate, what we're grateful for in those moments. As I said, martyr wounds. Healing those was a major part of my coaching program, which I initially came into actually looking for support in my own self-development, like self-worth, self-esteem, and healing the wound of the martyr triangle was a major part of that. If you are familiar with people pleasing is a way of martyring yourself. You basically get into this cycle. They call it a triangle because there's 3 parts that you play in the cycle. And you just get into this cycle of being a victim and lashing out at other people and being uncooperative. And that's not helpful for a time where you need to be supporting each other. Ideally, you need to be working together. You need to be a team working against a problem rather than 2 people trying to butt heads. Because at the end of the day, you're both trying to conquer the problem. But if you feel like a victim of circumstance or you feel like it's not in your power to change anything, you probably won't. As a motivational interview trainer, I know very well that when you feel like a victim of circumstance or you convince yourself that it is all on you and that there's nothing else that can be done to support you or help you, then you do get really stuck. You aren't really able to implement change, and if you try to, it's really hard to do it successfully. Another big part of getting out of survival mode is actually finances. I'm also a bookkeeper by trade, so I manage other people's finances, but my own can be kind of a fustercluck, to be honest. And it is mostly because of my mindset around money. There were definitely times in survival mode where we were living paycheck to paycheck and we genuinely did not have room even in our heads to make a budget. But it made it even harder when just talking about money would result in a fight. And money is one of the top causes of divorce, as a lot of people know, because it's such a sensitive subject. And the reason that it is a sensitive subject is because we approach money from the direction of like that inner child. And Virginia helped to bring that out of, okay, what does that inner child believe about money? What did you believe about money growing up? What did your parents teach you about money, whether through them actually talking to you, whether through their actions, whether through fighting about money, worrying about money, telling you to not worry about money? Maybe you had plenty of money growing up. It all comes into your current state of what do you believe about money and how are you communicating about it with your partner? Because very often we are coming at it from some kind of unhealthy way. And recently I've experienced a lot of positive changes in my life around my beliefs about money. Believing that you deserve money, believing that money is a good thing to have. You're allowed to have money. Just because you have money does not mean you're out of touch with the world. And you can also use that money to help other people if you wish to, as well as elevate your own family, which is also completely valid. So money was a large part of our coaching sessions, as well as the personal mindset coaching. So what is life like after coaching with Virginia? I am probably about 3 months post-coaching, and it's created a lot of positive change in my life. I think it's also created momentum for a lot of other changes. So I've made a lot of other changes in my life, going to see different practitioners for health stuff, regulating my nervous system, making steps in my career. A lot of that was a result of those growth and changes. In my own marriage, I've experienced more happiness, more intimacy, more love, more connection. We've escaped survival mode successfully, and my partner and I have developed so much resilience through our time in survival mode, and we look back on it with the lessons that we've learned and the things that we can pass on to other people, to our kids. Hence why I'm here making this video for you, to pass this information on to someone who might still be in that survival mode state right now. Yeah, I feel like I'm not as much of a people pleaser. I definitely, I take less crap from people, I think, as a result of the coaching. I am tending towards not using that martyr wound as much or seeing myself as a victim. I feel like I am in control of my life, my decisions, and I have a lot more confidence in making decisions. And that's about it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up button and click subscribe to see more videos like this. Maybe there'll even be testimonials from more of Virginia's lovely clients. If you'd like to book a session with Virginia, I'm sure there's a link in the description, but you can also visit virginiaherbcoaching.com and book your free consult today. It's just a conversation, a very casual phone call. You don't even have to commit to the coaching program after, but I highly recommend, if any of this video resonated with you, I would at least try talking about it with her and see if this is something you both might be a fit for working on together. You can also follow Virginia on Instagram at Virginia Herb Coaching, and be sure to also follow the Talking Blondes podcast for more really fun videos from Virginia and her co-host Caitlin as they explore different mental health topics about marriage, relationships, and lifestyle content. That would be Talking Blondes podcast on YouTube and wherever your podcasts are found. So be sure to click follow there as well for more podcast content. And Virginia, we'll see you all in the next video. Thanks and have a great day. Bye.